That night, the air in my parents' cramped suburban dining room in suburban Seattle hung heavy with the smell of overcooked meatloaf and cheap red wine. I sat there. Emily Grant, 36 years old. The invisible one they'd always dismissed, smiling politely as they tore into me like it was just another family ritual. My sister, Brittany, leaned into her boyfriend, Kyle, giggling as she recounted my pathetic attempts at writing. Remember when Emily thought she was going to be the next big thing? All those rejection letters piling up like junk mail. My mom chimed in, her voice slurred from her third glass. Oh, honey, we told you to get a real job. Editing other people's trash at that little press in the city? That's no life. Dad just grunted from his end of the table, nursing his beer. The man who'd bounced from one dead-end gig to another, but somehow always landed on his feet by blaming the world. They didn't know it yet. But this dinner was the climax I'd scripted in my head for years. As their laughter echoed off the faded wallpaper, I reached into my bag and pulled out the book, the one topping the New York Times list. My name, bold and unapologetic, stared back at them from the cover. And in that moment, their mockery turned to ash in their mouths. I'd always been the quiet one, the shadow in our family portrait, growing up in that split-level house on the outskirts of Seattle, where the rain never stopped drumming on the roof like a constant reminder of gloom. I learned early on to fade into the background. It was safer that way. My parents, Jack and Linda Grant, were the kind of people who sucked the oxygen out of every room, him with his endless tales of almost making it big in sales, her with her reality TV marathons and bottomless wine glasses. They weren't bad people. Not in the dramatic sense. But their love came wrapped in barbs that left scars you couldn't see. Why can't you be more like Brittany, they'd say, pointing to my younger sister, for years my junior, who flitted through life like a butterfly on steroids, always the center of attention, always chasing the next shiny thing. Me? I buried myself in books, dreaming of telling stories that mattered. But dreams were for fools in the Grant household. Get your head out of the clouds, Emily, Dad would bark. Real money comes from real work, not fairy tales. So I did what they wanted, got a steady job as a senior editor at Harbor Books, a indie outfit in downtown Seattle, where I polished other authors' words while mine gathered dust in my mind. The hurt built slowly, like rust eating away at metal. It started small, snide comments about my hobby of writing, the way Mom would roll her eyes when I mentioned submitting stories to magazines. Oh, Emily, sweetie, not everyone can be a star. Some of us are just support acts. But it escalated. Brittany, with her endless parade of failed ventures, first a beauty vlogger, then a fitness guru, now some vague lifestyle coach, would use me as her punchline. Emily's still single, living in that tiny apartment overlooking the Puget Sound, reading all day. So boring. She'd post about it on her Instagram, tagging me in memes about the hermit sister. Our parents funded her wins, calling it investing in potential, while my stable career was settling. The irony burned like acid. I was the one paying my bills, the one they called when they needed a loan disguised as family help. But in their eyes, I was the failure, the one who'd never amount to anything because I didn't sparkle like Brittany. I endured it in silence, that protective shell hardening around me year after year. At work, I'd mark up manuscripts with a red pen, sipping coffee at exactly 10 a.m., eating lunch at my desk while the city buzzed outside. Home was my sanctuary, a one-bedroom with brick walls and a view of the water, where I'd sit in my armchair, watching fairies cut through the mist. But inside, the pain festered. Every family dinner was a performance, them competing to make me smaller. Me nodding along, taking mental notes. Why don't you date more, Emily? Or is it because you're always lost in those depressing stories you scribble? Brittany would tease, her latest boyfriend nodding along like a puppet. I'd drive home, the Seattle rain blurring my windshield. And once, long ago, I'd cry. But not anymore. Because 3 years back, after one particularly vicious gathering where they paraded my old rejection letters like trophies, something snapped. I didn't scream or fight. I wrote. It poured out of me in the dead of night, between 1 and 4 a.m., when the world was asleep and their voices couldn't touch me. Not some flowery tale about empathy or metaphors, no. This was raw, a mirror to our dysfunction. I wrote about a family that devoured its own, a father whose charm masked his laziness, a mother who drowned her regrets in alcohol, a sister who built her empire on ridicule. The protagonist? A woman like me. Invisible until she wasn't. I changed details. Of course, made the sister a social media starlet peddling dubious wellness products. The parents gamblers instead of just drifters. But the cruelties? Those were real. Lifted straight from life and sharpened into prose that cut deep. I didn't tell a soul. Finished it in secret. 278 pages of controlled fury. Then I created AJ. Read A for abandoned, J for justice, though no one would know. I queried agents under that name. My query letter cool and detached. The first one bit hard. This gutted me, she said on the call. Her voice thick. The authenticity, it's like you lived it. I bit back a laugh. Imagination, I replied. 6 months later, a mid-tier publisher snapped it up. Shadows of Kin, they titled it. Loving the commercial edge on literary pain. It's got that viral potential, my editor gushed. Families destroying each other in the Instagram era? Timely. I kept my routine, work, dinners, smiles through their jabs. They had no idea. When the book hit shelves, it simmered at first, then exploded. Book Talk lit it up, a tear-streaked video from a young reader. If you've ever been the black sheep, this is your anthem. It climbed to number 5. Then 3. Then 1. Reviews praised the devastating honesty, the way it exposed how casual cruelty masquerades as tough love. Readers debated the ending, the protagonist's tell-all book that shatters her family's illusions. Revenge or catharsis? Both, I'd think. Lurking in forums. Meanwhile, my royalties stacked up in a separate account. Untouchable. Netflix circled in month 2, offering 7 figures for a limited series. The sister arc is gold, the exec said. Monetizing family trauma? So now, I signed. Camera off. Thinking of Brittany's endless posts. They started crumbling without knowing why. Dad got fired again for fudging expenses, hiding it by working at the truck. Mom's credit card debt ballooned, her wine habit turning into a crutch. Brittany? Her latest endorsement deal backfired. Those miracle supplements made followers sick, sparking lawsuits. She called me late one night. Voice cracking, I'm screwed. They want $150,000. You're my sister, help. I paused, staring at my bank app. The AJ. Read fortune glowing. I can't, I said. What do you mean? You've got that steady job. Her bitterness twisted like a knife. You've never had real problems. Oh. The irony. Mom and Dad begged too. Voicemails alternating pleas and rage. After all we've done? All they'd done was break me down. I blocked them when the threat started. Changed locks after Dad pounded on my door at midnight, reeking of whiskey. Then they discovered the book. Brittany messaged first, just read that trash Shadows of Kin. The sister gets sued, just like me. What a psycho author. She saw herself in the villain and felt no shame. Just mocked it in their group chat, AJ. Read haters. They'd quote lines, my lines, calling them pretentious, Never seeing the mirror. Dad, bunch of whiny crap. Mom, no mother would act like that. The delusion was almost pitiable. But the invitation came anyway for Mom's 60th. Brittany hand-delivered it to my office. Looking frayed. Roots showing. Designer knockoffs replacing her usual flair. Please come. We're falling apart. I stared at the card. Her handwriting shaky. Birthdays past flashed, mine forgotten. Turned into roasts. But this was my cue. Netflix's announcement loomed, my reveal as AJ. Read. I texted back, I'll be there. That Saturday. I dress like armor, sleek black dress. No frills. In my bag. For signed first editions. Wrapped sharp. The house was a wreck, foreclosure notice taped discreetly. Yard overgrown. Inside. The tension simmered. Mom poured wine with trembling hands. Dad slouched. Defeated, Brittany clung to Kyle, who scrolled his phone. Bored. Dinner dragged, complaints about life. The unfairness. At least that AJ. Reed is raking it in, Brittany spat. Profiting off pain. Kyle perked up, heard they're unmasking the author for Netflix. Bet it's some fraud. I set my fork down. Maybe they lived it. Maybe it's survival. Dad snorted. Survival? Life's tough, deal with it. Then I stood. Heart pounding but steady. Happy birthday. Mom. Gifts for everyone. They unwrapped slowly. Faces paling at the cover. Open inside, I said. The inscription, to those who showed me what family isn't. AJ. Read. And below. In my familiar script, Emily Grant. Mom's glass shattered. Wine pooling like blood. Dad flipped pages, whispering his own echoed words. Brittany froze, the sister. That's me. You monster. Kyle grabbed his phone. This is gold, can I record? I smiled. Like you recorded me writing. Without asking? Go ahead. Tie your brand to the villain. The eruption was biblical. Mom wailed about betrayal. We raised you. Dad hurled accusations, protecting you from failure. Brittany shrieked lawsuits. How I'd ruined her. You're dead to me. I laughed. Cold. You've treated me like a ghost since forever. This just makes it real. They stormed or sobbed as I laid it bare, the trash can manuscript. The mockery. How I'd been kinder in fiction than they'd been in life. I could have written memoir. Used names. But I gave you deniability. You recognized yourselves anyway. Brittany bolted with Kyle. Already plotting her viral takedown. Mom begged, the house. Help. No, I said. Emily Grant owes you nothing. You killed her long ago. Walking out. The rain hit like release. My phone buzzed, Brittany's video. My sister betrayed us all. Views climbed. By morning. Chaos. My agent called. Move up the reveal? As planned, I said. Let them spin their lies. When my interview dropped a real name. Real story. Blurred photos, they'd face the mirror. Sales soared, discourse raged. Some called me hero. Others villain. But in my apartment. Tea steaming. I felt only peace. The next book brewed, not them. But after rising from ashes, choosing self over blood, they'd mocked my nothing. But nothing? It's where truth begins. And truth had set me free. Visible at last to myself. If no one else.